Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, it's good afternoon here in the United States, but elsewhere it might be good evening, good night, depending on what location. If you are in ground zero, so it's probably nighttime. If you are in Europe, probably nighttime. Asia, still nighttime, or but if you're here in United States, it's daytime. If you are in South America, daytime, Canada, wherever you are, it is. But anyway, I want to thank all of you that are tuning in this evening. Here again, my name is Funton Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States, on the issues of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, and on the issue to what you may have learned about the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon. I want to thank you, Human Rights, thank you, Diodene. Long time not hear from you. I guess you're having fun anyway, but thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Kingsley. Thank you for those names that I bypassed without reading them, but I apologize for that. I want to thank all of you that are tuning in this evening. But and also, I'm also broadcast on my YouTube, Transparency Media International. For those who are not aware of it, that I'm also broadcast live on my YouTube, Transparency Media International. I want to thank all of you that are tuning in, and there is one thing that I want to emphasize before we dive into what make up the news today. I want to thank the United States. I want to thank the United States for for their continued support for the liberalizations of freedom, not only here in the United States, but elsewhere around the world. The crisis in which the people of Southern Cameroon has experienced is the same crisis that the United States went through and become what it is today is because of the importance that the United States has learned from its own physical demise and now become strong and believe that people ought to have that freedom and liberty. And I want to thank the United States government for doing so. Thank you, Mandim. Thank you, Kingsley. Thank you for tuning in. And that is why I am so thankful the United States continue to hammer on this foreign government, La Republique du Cameroun. There is one thing I want to emphasize that I want to bring attention that people should understand. The people of Southern Cameroon was never a conquer or a colonial territory. The people of Southern Cameroon was never a conquer or a colonial territory of La Republique du Cameroon. So our people are facing this persecution because of the wrongdoing that were perpetrated by Britain. And that is why our people are here facing this crisis because of the wrongdoing of the British government. So therefore, and that is why I keep on emphasizing the British government failing absolutely. And that is why our peoples are being sacrificed our life because of the wrongdoing of the Great Britain. But however, I urge that we have realized that we have to stand up against this nepotism. We have to stand up and face the reality. We have to stand up as one people. We have to stand up and fight for the freedom and liberty of our own people. We cannot sit and fold our arms and just believe that nothing is happening. No, we got to acknowledge that there is something that is wrong and that we need to correct that wrong. And so that is why we are educate the people, educate the world, educate the community to understand why the people of Southern Cameroon deserve not to be suffering this what we are facing. The people of Southern Cameroon were never a conquered territory in reality. They were never a colonial territory. So there are still some few individuals. There is a saying that once you start eating those dirty meat or dirty food or whatever, and it comes to a point where, irrespective of whatever, they still rush there. But this message is those enablers that are still believe that they still have to sneak into Southern Cameroon and run for an election. First, we are warned that any individual that is attempting to participate in any form that is organized by La Republique in Southern Cameroon is violating the sovereignty of Ambazonia. Anyone caught attempt, if you notice your name accidentally placed on La Republique list and you do not immediately denounce that you are not part of that list, because La Republique at certain point will be manipulating, putting people's name that they do not intend or want to be participating in any form. So, but those who choose, those who attempt or those who choose to ignore the warning, because we always give informed notice to anyone that choose to participate in any form of election that is organized by La Republique. La Republique henceforth do not have any legal authority in whatsoever to organize any form of election in Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon does not organize any form of election in the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. So therefore, we are urging anyone that has make any attempt. I know people will still, because even when they're caught in a trap, they still think that they can hide anywhere and decided to do whatever it takes. I urge you to think again. I urge anyone that will place his or her candidacy on the banner of La Republique du Cameroun on the hope that he or she is running in an election that is conducted by La Republique in Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon do not conduct any election in La Republique. So therefore, we are asking anyone, take this matter seriously. Take this matter seriously, that we do not conduct any election in La Republique, and since we do not conduct any election in La Republique, therefore La Republique has no legal authority to conduct any election in Southern Cameroon. And so therefore, anyone that chooses, because then even despite the warning that we give and we broadcast to let everyone be aware, but unfortunately, some individuals choose to ignore or deliberately, because they think they can do whatever it takes. I urge you, take these matters seriously. We will not, in any circumstances, to rebroadcast to let you know that do not participate. But now we give you a message that you to take note that La Republique has no legal authority in whatsoever to organize any election in Southern Cameroon. And so if you therefore believe that you can bypass and choose to participate, then you are doing it at your own risk. Because we will not in any circumstances warn you. So therefore, take the matter seriously. While we are speaking, some are going into private individuals' home. We know you and we know where you are. You can choose in the 12 midnight to participate in your own individual or homes of whoever it is. I remind you that we get that information 24 hours immediately after and where that meeting was held. So therefore, we are reminding everyone, take this warning seriously. Do not attempt under the banner CPDM is a political party in La Republique, and that political party is outlawed in Southern Cameroon completely. And anyone that is seen carry on effigy with the banner CPDM is completely outlawed in Southern Cameroon. So if you decide or choose to carry on that banner CPDM in any form, placard or this, and I urge any building that is in Southern Cameroon that carry on any banner of CPDM should be immediately terminated, because any form, any banner that carries the form CPDM in Southern Cameroon is completely outlawed. So therefore, we are giving this ample time and warning for anyone that chooses to ignore. And if you choose to ignore, then you're going to fail. You're going to meet the wrath of an Ambazonian. We came to this relationship. We came in good faith. Our people came in good faith. But over time, La Republique has never been in good faith. And since La Republique has never been in good faith, then we have chosen that we are not obligated to be under the banner of a foreign government. We are not obligated to be under the banner of a foreign government. And so therefore we, the people of Southern Cameroon, has let the world understand we cannot succumb to foreign domination. La Republique has its own legitimate territory, and they should concentrate on their own territory and let the people of Southern Cameroon decide what is best for them. Southern Cameroon enjoy ample evidence of liberty, equality, good governance, and a transfer of power from one elected officials to the next elected officials. The Ambazonia has a defense system, has Ambazonia, prior to what we are today. Southern Cameroon enjoyed a democratic form of government, the first in West Africa. Southern Cameroon is the first in West Africa to elect a president and transfer power from one elected officials to the next elected officials. And the other candidate willfully accepted his position as an opposition. When Dr. Endele, the first prime minister of Southern Cameroon, when he lost an election, he accepted to become an opposition because he lost the election, and he became the leader of the member of parliament in Southern Cameroon. And there was harmony and peace coexistent within the Southern Cameroon territory. It was an organized, clean and fair elections, and that there was no harmony of fighting. It was respected, that transfer of power from one elected official to another elected officials. And when Gumjwa became the next prime minister, a power transition to the next executive did not have any ample evidence of fighting. It was a peaceful, organized in Southern Cameroon. Of course, why the world decided to turn a blind eye? The world turned a blind eye because they do not want to accept the reality. They do not want to accept the reality. La Republique du Cameroon, since it became independent nation in 1960, it has not in any circumstances organized any meaningful election where there is a transfer of power from one elected officials to the next. Within the past 56 years, it was Amadou Ahidjo who has been in power for 25 years until France deceived him that he has a health issues that is very detrimental and that he should hand over power to someone else. And he chose to hand over to this worst dictator, Paul Biya, who is now 37 years as the president of a country. Imagine the Southern Cameroon people had descended that similar format. Of course, why is elected officials is very crucial. For example, let's take a look at the United States structure. One can be able to claim whether Bill Clinton was a successful president because we have base report of his when he was becoming a president. We can give whether George Bush was a successful president of the United States based on his outcome of his result. We can declare whether Obama was a successful president based on outcome of a result. And we will also decide whether Donald Trump is a successful president will be based on outcome of his end of term of office. And it's because there is a meaningful and ample conduction of elections that is transfer of power from one executive to the next with either local or national level. But unfortunately, in La Republique, you have one single individual that are machinery, that is more of a fraudulent machinery, incapable to manipulate and can never allow any meaningful. And when there is an opposition, immediately they rush the person to jail. And they have recalcitrant police officials that have no power. They rule by infamous abuse law. They do not respect law. They have no mandate in terms of law. They trample upon law because that is the civil law system that imposed by the French authority, because that gives them ample evidence or route that they can rush and collect whatever they have in Africa. Fellow Africans, we have to terminate the relationship that exists between Africa and France and then rebuild a new Africa. What benefit can you claim that you got from France? Absolutely zero. Absolutely. They control every aspect of Africa. They rush to everywhere to manipulate. Just imagine in the crisis of the Southern Cameroon case. France went to Chad. French president, the current president, Emmanuel Macron, went to Chad and asked Chadians to facilitate and provide their military against the people of Southern Cameroon. Remember, the people of Southern Cameroon is never a conquered territory, neither a colonial territory of France. France is just a benefactor because they're using La Republique to take an advantage to exploit and fed the French, whereas the people of Southern Cameroon cannot benefit for any single opportunity. So that is why I am bringing this attention that fellow brothers and sisters, we must defeat, and we also urging the other African countries to take similar position against the French. We cannot. Let's take, for example, in Benin Republic, whether it's Benin or... Do you remember that the French military declared always use every avenue to exploit? The gold mineral that is in there are being exploited by France. And they ensure that no one can ever organize any meaningful election. And that is why they exploit. The military is actually control the area where there's a gold minerals. And are being exploited and extracted to France. Central African Republic. French president, that he doesn't recognize the president there because it is a source of their exploitation to transport the mineral and for the advantage of France, while the interests of Africa are suffering. Fellow brothers and sisters, this is not just about Ambazonia. This is about Africa as a whole. Why must Africa? Let's take, for example, let me dwell on this first. What is money? Money is a means of exchange. If Africa believe that this is their own currency that they assume, they don't need to bargain from World Bank. World Bank is a fraudulent organization that is intended to enrich. Let's take, for example, back to the United States. When the United States went into crisis, the United States did not ask the World Bank to create a currency to fund the United States. When the recent economic crisis in which Obama took over office here in the United States, the banking system was crumbling. The banking system was in crisis. But President Obama did not go to the World Bank to ask for funding. President Obama asked the Central Treasury, the government here in the United States, to increase more liquidity currency, which means cash, to increase liquidity in circulation. That was the United States. United States did not go to the World Bank to ask for financial assistance. So why must Africa go into World Bank? It was initially created by France and the rest of other community to exploit Africa. That is where they must get their currency. And that is why France must guarantee, fellow Africa, get your own currency. If France needs mineral from Africa, they will have to accept the currency of Africa. We don't need the World Bank to guarantee the currency. That is a form of exploitation. That is absolutely a form of exploitation. France doesn't need to guarantee African currency. If France needs timber and they want the wood to be used, they will have to accept the currency of the South Africa in order to get the wood. So if we need any product from France, then we have to accept the France. Then there must be a mechanism that the currency can be exchanged. And that should be the Central Bank of Africa to facilitate those procedures and protocol. So the Central Bank of Africa must be able to facilitate. We don't need the World Bank to decide what currency. Because if you need the Chinese, if you need the product from China, then you have to accept the Chinese yen. If you need the product from Japan, then you have to accept the currency of Japan. You don't need World Bank to guarantee the currency of Japan. You don't need World Bank to guarantee the currency of China. It's a form of exploitation, Africa, that they must use the currency of World Bank. No, we don't need the World Bank. We must have our own currency and let the Central Bank of Africa decide the exchange mechanism based on goods and services. Fellow Africans, this is the time we must change the dynamic. This is the time we need to change the dynamic and discard France's influence in Africa, that they are the deciding. And that is why they install all this brutal dictatorship, so that they facilitate the wealth to be drained to France. Awake France, awake France, awake Africa. Awake. We don't need France in any whatever circumstances. We have more resources than France ever have. But yet, we are crumbling because we believe that France is an ultimate. No, France is not. We can do the right thing and then we will become an ultimate. Do you know the form of those exploitation? They create an organization they call the Francophonie. In this, they believe that anyone that participates in the organizations must be abide by. And they carry a figurehead and put there called an African that is heading a Francophonie. What is the purpose of a Francophonie? It's a form of exploitation of Africa and tell them that they belong to a certain organization that is organized by Francophonie just simply because you have to express yourself in French. You don't need that. French is any other language just like your own language. But just that they take an advantage. They came to Africa to exploit. Do they care? Of course not. I remember several years ago, I traveled from Africa, and from there I was passing through Morocco, and I arrived in Charles de Gaulle Airport. And that is why I became embarrassed when the French police bypassed other citizens and asked me that I don't have, that I am not a United States citizen, and that I should present myself. How can a French be able to determine whether someone is a United States citizen? What legality do they have to show whether someone is not a United States citizen. United States citizen has not discriminated its own citizens, but yet France is the one to detect that this person is not, because simply I have this color. Fellow brothers and sisters, this is the moment that Africa must rise and tell France that we terminate that relationship. Let France concentrate in France, and let Africa concentrate on Africa. And let's build on a new Africa that we can be able to compete with the rest of the other world. This is the moment that Africa must change. Rise. 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 And tell France, let's terminate the relationship. It is not workable and will not be workable. Yes, it's not workable and will not be workable. And that is why we stand up and denounce it. How can Africa do what is best? Establish high institute of research, promote technology, provide funding. Let's take, for example, that Africa create their own central bank. We don't need France to tell me how much currency should be in that circulation. Our economic policy, first, it should be a form of government. We all understand how the world community become what it is today. They are functional because they organize in a well, transparent way. Let's get rid of these individuals that whom we claim by virtue of their names. Person become more influential at that particular moment in history. And so when that moment in history passed, we are in a different moment of history. Let's recognize those amongst us. Let's forget about African descendants to believe in individuals named 20th century ago. Let's look at the future generation who can stand, because that moment has passed and we are in a different moment in history. So let's focus on the moment in history and ignore the past. Let's forget about the brand name. Let's look at who has a more robust policy that can move us forward. United States is so powerful. Why? Because of the institution of learning that is powerful and that is well funded. And because it is funded, there is more scientific research and technology. And that is how United States become powerful. And so if United States become powerful, China become powerful because they emulate the same example. Improve on technology, improve on research, and establish higher institutions of learning. And that is how they become so powerful. And after we have learned all this, we still sit behind and expect the imaginary from France. You cannot sit and pray that some imaginary change is going to occur. No, you got to work for those imaginary change to happen. So let's get up, Africa, and ignore all these prayers. We know at one time we have to embody ourselves with spirit. But let's not take it as a means to an end, because we can change those means by physically technology of our brain, provide a higher institute of learning, fund those institutes of learning, promote research, and we can change the cultural dynamic of this planet of Africa. We can no longer rely on prayer, because prayer is not going to change any aspect. While prayer may be part of an emotional stability, but it's not going to change the environment. It's not going to change. Let's take, for example, when the United States went to the Second World War, they did not just go there because they wanted to fight a war. The United States went to war to study why the war occurred in the first place. Why was Germany so rapid in the war in 1945? That is what the United States looked into. Why was Germany rapidly and able to conquer the rest of its neighbors? First thing the United States learned was that the road development of Germany were rapid. They control every road, link all its neighbors. That was a development. And that development provided ample opportunity for the United States to learn that even though German conquered, it was because of the rapid road development that he has implanted to the neighboring country. And so the other nations were unaware of this policy, but United States studied it. And when United States returned after the war, they began to build their own road development. And today, United States is well vested for development of the entire state. That is what makes United States so powerful. Infrastructural development. But in Africa, you have one single individual with billions of money stuck in his home. Whereas the road development is outrageous. Why do our people in Southern Cameroon, we want to love to be with the Republic, when one single individual owns the entire, his home is filled with money? Why does it crumble infrastructural development? What can we learn? And that we can ameliorate this example. You all saw what happened. La Republique is taking advantage. I happened to be in one meeting. Happened to be in one meeting where you have all those influential people. They claim they were from Sase, they were from I don't mean to insult those individuals that happen to graduate from those universities, but I tend to have problem with them to process information, to understand that why they are here in the United States claim to what they look like, or from what they claim to be, but they fail to understand that why are they here in the United States? Someone did something to change the dynamic of this country, and before it becomes what it is today. But those who are from Sase, they say, oh my God, I am from this. I graduated this with 10 O level. I am from, my dad was this. Of course, yes. What have you done to change? You came to the United States because someone sacrificed for this nation to be what it is today. And you may probably be the beneficiary of what happened. You may not have envisaged. You learn it and then you forget about it. You put it in the trash. Someone say, oh, I don't think I need history. Of course, you don't need history, but you need to understand why the history is strategically important for what the United States is today. You say, oh, I don't care about the U.S. government. Well, you care about the U.S. government because it's because of the government that it is what it is today. Yes, this one say, oh, these guys, they call them, and they just destabilize Ambazonia. They claim to be all this. Yeah, you understand. Those people, they claim that they're from the most precious college in La Republique, and they graduate, and we from this higher level, and this. I am this here in the United States. Of course, yes, you are. Have you thought about it? Have you thought about what happened? Why did the United States become what it is today? Why are you benefiting? Someone happened to split his blood. Someone sacrificed for what it is today. So what have you done? That is the challenging question I am asking those who claim. Of course, we are talking about fighting against La Republique. Some individuals, they told me, oh, we can't discuss about the matters in this particular meeting. Of course, here in the United States, oh, we can't talk about Ambazonia here. We can't, oh, that is an outlaw. And you ask them, what are you? Oh, I am a doctor. I am a physician. I am a this. Do you know that some people spill their blood for what it is today that you claim to be a physician? Some people sacrifice. And you don't want to talk about Ambazonia. And you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to block every discussion in the meeting. You want to block every aspect. Say, this guy's an Ambazonia. We don't want to talk about it. It's here. It is not. Let's create a forum. Some even go as far as telling me that they should create a forum where I should be talking about Ambazonia. No, I don't need you to create a forum because I can create a forum. But I am here to remind you that the spirit that the people fought for this nation, you are simply the beneficiary of what those who fought for this nation. Because they fought for this nation to what it is today, you are the beneficiary. Do you acknowledge that you are the beneficiary? Because we can't talk about this in this particular forum. We can't discuss about it. We can't talk about Ambazonia here. But I am here to remind you that we can talk about Ambazonia anywhere, in any place around the world. Yes. Oh, no. Oh, those are the guys that talk about Ambazonia. No, we can't talk about Ambazonia. Oh, they're very fearful. You know why? Because they grew up in an environment where they were being grown. Because they were grown in an environment, they are so damaging in such a way that even they are in the United States, they are still fearful of La Republique. Even though they are here in the United States, they are still fearful of La Republique. But I am here to remind you that as you benefit from the United States is not going to change. You have to be the leader of change, because those who make the United States what it is today is because certain people fought against change. And today, United States, you are here harvesting. You put your suit like I have my own here, and you claim, oh, we can't talk about Ambazonia. Oh, no, this is for this particular group. This group cannot talk about Ambazonia. No. This is outrageous. We cannot talk about it. Oh, no. That is some of the behavior you will find around on our various group meetings, whatever it is. They can't talk about Ambazonia. But I am here to remind you, why don't you go back to La Republique? Yes, if we can't talk about issues affecting. No. This guy has come again. He likes to talk about Ambazonia. Yes, no, we can't talk about Ambazonia. Oh, I am a doctor. Well, you're a doctor, really. Do you know how many people spill their blood in this nation, even in Great Britain? In Great Britain, many people spill their blood, even in France. You all know the French revolutions. France claimed to be what it is today. It's because of French philosophers that they exiled themselves in Great Britain. They learned that the government of Great Britain was much better. And after they learned what happened in Great Britain, they knew that something was wrong in France. And because they knew that something was wrong in France, therefore they had to advocate for a change in France. And that's what led to the storming of the Bastille, the collapse of the French bourgeoisie. For those who knew about the French bourgeoisie, they believed that their power came from God and that no one can question them. And because no one can question them, they live a fabulous life. But when those philosophers that they went to Britain and learned that there was something that was lacking, because there was something that was lacking, therefore they have to change the cultural aspect of France. And they rise against the system. Those who claim that they were the French bourgeoisie, just as those who claim that they were from Alsace. I don't mean to insult Alsace. Alsace is a beautiful school. But the problem is the people, the people that bring up into this planet. You know? I am not totally against those who graduate from Alsace. I didn't have the opportunity to go into Alsace. But I believe in the fundamental value of dignity that the people of Southern Cameroon ought to rise above that. You cannot sit in a meeting. And have you ever attended those meetings? You cannot say them to even recognize that let's pray for the Southern Cameroon territory. Even if you don't want to mention the word Ambazonia. Talk about the Southern Cameroon, because that is the plain that we all knew what it is. Oh, they cannot even sit up, let's pray. But they turn to ignore the factual, the reality. They turn to ignore. They say, oh, yes, this I said. Look, I don't mean to insult those who went to Sase, but I mean to the people that they bring up into this society, that they fail to acknowledge that even though they are here in the United States as a beneficiary of this nation, they ought to stand up for injustice in Southern Cameroon. Imagine that a mother was shot. Imagine a pregnant woman. Imagine a pregnant woman that is in the forest. Even though he's not related to me biologically, no matter what it is, but I know that she is from Southern Cameroon. But I know that that's my sister by Christ's sake. The grandmother that was burned in her home, the hospital that was disrupted. I am not physically related to that particular person, but so long as it's in Southern Cameroon, I believe that that's an Ambazonian, and I believe that I ought to stand for them, and that is why I continue to speak on their behalf. When they fought, look at the hypocrite. When demonstration was going on in Samalima, in this dictator's home, those who were arrested, do you know that 24 hours they were released? But when it comes to the people of Southern Cameroon, they are the ones to be sentenced, longer jail term. Of course, Professor Maurice came to those people that were arrested and dumped. They will all be released, all of them. But yet the people of Southern Cameroon are in a diachronic Republic of la Republique that are being held without. They have no voice. And that is what I am speaking about. You have these individuals. They claim themselves that they call the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister. Those are the dirtiest people. Oh, I am doctor. Oh, some even claim that, call me doctor. Do not call me that terrible name. Call me who I am. I am called Daniel. Do not call me that terrible name. That is just an emblem that just affixed upon my image that has nothing to do. But I look upon the value of human dignity, that we must be free. We were born in chains but must rise and stand against liberty. And that is why I am echo this message, that let's arise, Ambazonia. Let's arise. Let's arise. Let's arise. We can achieve this goal if we understand that we have a foreign nation. We have a foreign nation called La Republique du Cameroun that has invaded the Southern Cameroon territory. We have the world community that whom we claim that we can rely on. Yet they're using an exploitation like France. While we are speaking, do you know that the French sent their gunboat to protect La Republique, because they is the channel in which they can have a Southern Cameroon and fed the French. And that is why they send their gunboat to fight and provide security, surveillance equipment. So, but if we start creating our own scientific research and technology, that we can be able to realize those equipment that we can use, then the balance of power will be equitable. Nobody can speak to China. But of course, China couldn't open a voice some 20 years ago. But because of the advent of technology, China is able to sit on the bargain table. Look, Africa as a whole. Africa as a whole doesn't have a voice in the world stage. Why? Because they believe that foreign aid is that powerful and that they can sit at home and receive those foreign aid. But instead to acknowledge that they ought to create that powerful, establish scientific, high research technology, awarded them the money and allocate resources and experiment, give them a time frame. United States is thinking that they're going to send somebody in the moon. Someone is worried because they think ahead of time. What happened if Russia? What happened if Russia going into space and began to bombard United States? United States don't want to sit and wait till Russia go into the moon. United States is also exploring the moon so that when the Russia hit the bomb, they should be able to be an to break that bond. And that is why the United States is so powerful. Africa, what are you doing? Even the smallest nation in Europe can conquer the entire continent of Africa because they sleep. And that is why France can easily ask the OAU Secretary General to dismiss African representative at the United Nations. And he went ahead and did it. Let's see how rubbish African it is. Tell them, this is Africa, and that is Europe. And we here do it as Africa. Then you go and dismiss the France ambassador. Not Africa dismiss, because we have been grown in such a way that our voice, instead of us creating high pastoral university, there's one funny thing that happens to me is that when you meet somebody, the first thing he handed to you, I am a pastor, this. The first thing he handed to me is pastor this. Have you noticed that? The first thing, I am pastor this. No, hand over me that you are an engineer research, because that is what makes Africa a difference that we can compare to the rest of the other world community. That is all we need to be doing. Create a higher institute of research and technology. Create a higher institute of research that we can exploit other avenues. How the world are doing it. That is what the African ought to be doing, to be able to compete in this world society. For example, I went to Nigeria. Every 3 corners of Nigeria is made up of bishop. Some they say they are bishop. I mean, I was in Nigeria. That is one of the things that it was very embarrassing. That everyone was a bishop. I am bishop. I am bishop this. I am bishop this. I am bishop this. I have not seen no one that show himself. I am an engineer in this. I am a chemical engineer. I am a software engineer. I am a aeronautic engineer. That is what we expect, because those are the economic that can display. When you go to China, this is professor of electrodynamic. This one is professor for this. This one is professor. When you go to excuse me. When you travel to every place in Africa, every 3 corners there's a church. Every environment there's a church. No. We, Africa, need to change. We need to look at the brighter future, creating a more dynamic, robust environment that will empower research, technology. Let's look at in Ambazonia. We have Umbe. Umbe should have been a higher research institute of technology. When children graduate from there, they have nowhere to go. But if we have funded them to promote research, let them put it into perspective, and that put it into practice, and create a culture of an environment. We import everything. Every little thing we import in Africa. Because they brought an economic system, they said, economic principles of specialization. And that those that are specialized in the production of agricultural products should concentrate in those areas, while those who produce machinery should concentrate in the production of machinery. And that is called balanced economy or terms of economy. No, we don't need to rely on those philosophies. It's gone. Let's create our own, and if we are institute of technology, let's implement those. Let's forgo all those theory, because it's not working. It's not workable. And that is why we need to change all these called the leaders. They're invaluable to the society. They are invaluable to the society. They are absolutely invaluable to the society. Despite all this lecture, but I want to remind Ambazonian citizens that if you are going to register under the banner of a foreign government in Ambazonia, that you're running for whatever election, the so-called council or legislative election, La Republique is no longer part of Southern Cameroon. La Republique has no legitimacy in Southern Cameroon. So anyone that attempts to organize any election in Southern Cameroon, I urge you to think again. I urge you, I know people, they decided that I don't care, I'm going to do whatever you do. Once you can be hidden in anywhere, we are aware. And if you hold a meeting under the banner of CPDM, CPDM is an outlaw in Southern Cameroon completely. CPDM is an outlaw. And so therefore, those individuals that they choose that they're going to participate in an election that is organized by a foreign government in Southern Cameroon, then you are doing it at your own risk. And then we will not be condoled to any such individual. Although people can take information and decide to spit it out and say, okay, I don't care. Well, the day you are caught, you're going to vomit that. So we are remind everyone, and that we are giving this a lot of education, that La Republique has no power to organize any election in Southern Cameroon. So anyone that chooses to declare his or her candidacy to participate in any form, you are doing so at your own risk. We will not longer inform you, this is what you must observe. So therefore, you are master to your own self, and to acknowledge that the information is put there for you to listen and to pay close attention. We will no longer be available to give you, but once you have been caught, you will be subject to Ambazonia law. Because some of them are in the neighboring country, La Republique, and having meeting there. Remember that you have a route back in Southern Cameroon. So therefore, do not organize any such meeting in Yaoundé, because you are indirectly, except you are running as a candidacy in Tukebe, except you are running a candidate in Biamasi, except you are running a candidate in the northern region. But if you are holding that banner on behalf of Southern Cameroon, then you are on the wrong side of history. I urge you to take note and do not fall into the trap. Fellow citizens of Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia, we have come a long way, and we must stand and defend and defeat La Republique and eradicate them out of Southern Cameroon completely. In this, I want to thank all of you for listening. Ambazonia was never a conquered territory. Ambazonia is a sovereign nation. We must stand tall, we must stand firm, we must stand protect our Southern Cameroon territory. And we urge those who decide to ignore, you are therefore warned, and to take note of that. Because we will not. This message serves as a warning for those enablers that they think they can do what it takes. But unfortunately, we are watching. We are watching, and we will be taking drastic action for those who violate the Ambazonia. We will no longer rely on La Republique to come and organize any form in Southern Cameroon territory. The people of Southern Cameroon should be able to organize whatever they think. Southern Cameroon does not go to La Republique to organize any form of elections. So therefore, let La Republique respect their own boundary and maintain their own boundary. Our people should maintain our own boundary. We will not in any circumstances. So anyone that attempt to violate it, you are doing it at your own will. Thank you, and have a wonderful good night.